Good day, awesome YouTubers. It is Lollyman16 here for my first ever Dragon Ball Battles discussion. And on this one, this is going to be my first one. So today I am discussing Hit versus Omega. But before you guys begin, please check out the copyright notice and disclaimer before watching this video. Alright guys, so today we're going to discuss Hit versus Omega Shenron. Two different characters from two different series. I thought it would be good to start this one off with two really strong characters. Two of the characters who are basically not quite the strongest in their respective universes, but still quite powerful indeed. Omega Shenron is obviously the strongest villain in the GT storyline. Hit is not the strongest villain as of yet because we don't know how strong Goku Brak is going to be in Dragon Ball Super, especially with his new transformation Super Saiyajin Rose, which we've seen actually as of last night. If you go watch my episode 55 review and 56 preview to see those forms. But that's not besides the point. We're going to go ahead and look at Hit versus Omega Shenron, and there's two ways of doing this. We can either do this by power scaling wise to see how they would compare in terms of strength overall, and then the second way we can do this is we can look at their individual abilities, techniques, experience, etc., and try to figure out a conclusion from there. So Hit versus Omega, we're going to start it off with power scaling, and I have actually notes for this written down here. We start off with Omega. We'll start off with Omega, and we know from Dragon Ball GT that if we try to power scale, I know it's very confusing, and Dragon Ball GT's power scaling is completely off. I think everyone knows this. It's a lot of retcons, a lot of things that don't make sense, but we'll try to figure out by logic. So we know, as a comparison anyway, that Goku in GT, at least in his base form as a child, he stated he was stronger than Super Saiyan 3. Because we know this, because when he was fighting General Rildo, I have a picture up here of General Rildo, we know that he said against Rildo that Rildo is as strong as Majin Buu. Now, which Buu, we don't know. Okay, I'm going to assume it's either Kid Buu or probably not Super Buu. I'd say it's maybe Kid Buu. I don't know. He's not very specific. It could mean any of the Buu forms: Fat Buu, Kid Buu, Super Buu, Buu Han, or Buu Tanks, Buikalo. It could be any one of those forms. We don't really know. But let's say he's as strong as Super Saiyan 3 in his base. That pretty much makes sense. We know from GT that Super Saiyan 4 at least is a 4,000 times power boost. So that gives Omega Shenron a lot of power. But we also know that he is not strong enough for Super Saiyan 4. Because the fusion was just too much. Added Goku and Vegeta, and the multiplier of that, we don't know, of course, what the multiplier really is, but the overall multiplier was too much. But this still makes sense because Omega Shenron does have a lot of strength. He was able to tank Goku's Dragon Fist, and I'll get into that a little bit later of how he could do that. He basically stopped his Dragon Fist, and of course Goku was blinded at this time, but of course Goku fought with everything he possibly had in his Super Saiyan 4 form, and it did nothing to him. It took the combined effort of not only Goku and Vegeta as the Super Saiyan 4s, but the combination of their powers into Gogeta Fusion to actually beat him. Another key thing to note here is that Omega Shenron could not see Gogeta's 3 punches. He punched him once, and it seemed like he punched him actually 3 times. He actually said this. He punched him 3 times. So he cannot. He basically, it's kind of implying that Gogeta was too fast for him, and he can't really sense like instant moves or instant Shunkan Ido, or instant transmission. He's not like Super Android 17 in GT, where he said that he can feel Goku's molecules at re-entry when he's using instant transmission. So he cannot do that, which I'd say. So he's very strong, but he's kind of cocky, as I have some weaknesses for Omega Shenron. Let me pull up those notes right now. Basically, he's weak in that he's very cocky. He thinks obviously he's the superior dragon, and the Saiyans are just really weak guys. He kind of scolds Goku and Vegeta like, you guys are supposed to be a warrior race, and he's not very much powerful in that regard. Overall, I'd say Omega is very strong. I would put him at least twice the strength of a Super Saiyan 4, which would give him, I don't know, probably 8,000 times stronger than a Super Saiyan 3 in the Buu Saga. That's what I would put him at. So moving on to Hit, the other contestant of this matchup. Hit, we know from Dragon Ball Super, as a comparison for him at least, he is stronger than Super Saiyajin Buru, obviously. But let's go back a little bit to see what we really got here. Hit is very strong, but as a comparison with God, okay, it all depends on whether it's God Ki or not God Ki. Let me show you a picture of right here. In the Potaufu saga in Dragon Ball Super, I know it's a filler arc, but in that arc we see Gotenks go Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyajin Suri Gotenks, and we see copy Vegeta, which is supposed to be he's supposed to be as strong as base Vegeta, or at least he's supposed to gain the full powers of Vegeta. That's what it said in the episode, or at least in that arc, that filler arc. Gogeta as a Super Saiyan 3 was not able to beat him. In fact, he was so weak, against him that he was easily wrecked. And it only lasted like less than 10 minutes, and Gogeta was already down for the count. He was defeated very easily. Now, it kind of gets interesting here because, well, how strong is their base now in Dragon Ball Super? Well, it all depends on God Ki. That's the whole premise. I've seen multiple YouTubers talk about this, and it all depends on God Ki. What I mean by this is that if they don't use God Ki, as shown in the Universe 6 tournament, Universe 6 versus Universe 7, the Champa arc, if they don't use it, they're as strong as, well, obviously stronger than SS2, I think, anyway, because Piccolo was fighting Frost in that tournament, and if you look at how strong he's gone over the years, he's pretty much, he's really strong. He's pretty much, I think he's over, at least he has to be stronger than Super Perfect Cell at this point. So, and he was fighting Frost, and Goku actually had to go Super Saiyan to fight Frost in his final form. So, again, I put Goku in his base roughly around maybe Fat Buu. I'm not sure how to scale that exactly. But anyway, moving on. We know that with God Ki, they can increase their base tremendously because in the filler arc, Vegeta versus Gotenks easily beat him, so this confirms that fact. So how does this relate to Omega Shenron? Is he stronger in his base? What's the comparison here? Well, I'll put it simply. Because Vegeta with God Ki was in his base, was defeating Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks so easily, Omega Shenron, with that fact, okay, he was easily defeating Super Saiyan 4, which is a 4,000 times a multiplier than Super Saiyan 3, but that's counting Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that's counting Majin Buu, that's not counting Gotenks. I mean, again, in GT it's not specific on what forms he used, like how strong exactly was Rildo and how strong Super Saiyan 3 which one he was referring to. Obviously, I think he's referring to him as Goku himself as a Super Saiyan 3 in the Buu Saga. I think it even says this in the GT Perfect files, if I'm correct. It actually says this. So, Super Saiyan God and Super Saiyajin Buru, the power, and of course, that power, we don't know a multiplier for it, but we do know that Goku can use Kaioken. And Kaioken increases it obviously twice, and continuing up from there, he can go all the way up to 10. This is where this matchup gets kind of interesting, because we know that Hit is still stronger than Goku with Kaioken. And how do we know this? Well, we can go back, we can actually analyze their techniques and abilities for this one. It's actually because of his growth. But going into more of the power scaling wise, there's one more thing I have to note before we move on here. In Toriyama's statements, I think a while back, it was like a couple of months ago, he said that Goku and Vegeta are not stronger than Lord Beerus, and of course, all of this is kind of retcon, I guess, later on in the series where he's fighting Goku Black and all that stuff. But going based off of that statement, Hit is also not as strong as Lord Beerus. So you can basically throw out the statements about Beerus being 70% of God Goku and all that stuff. That's basically thrown out the window at this point, because we're entering a whole new level of scaling here. Hit is still stronger than Goku with Super Saiyan Blue and with Kaioken. He's still stronger than that, but he wasn't as strong as that originally. So it all depends on whether Hit can improve to Omega's level, if Omega it was actually stronger than him. Again, a little side note here. Hit in the manga, okay, the manga, I think it was chapter 13, it said that Hit in the manga at least was stronger, or, okay, he can improve, he can grow only to people who have higher power levels than himself. He can't, at least that's what I think. I think that's correct. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm wrong on that. But we saw that Hit, he can grow to beings only stronger than him. So who knows if Omega is stronger. So to conclude the power scaling portion of this battle, it's really unclear. It really is unclear, because there's no set multiplier for Super Saiyan Blue and with Kaioken. There's no really multiplier. I don't know how strong they are compared to the base. There's no multiplier in that. I mean, some people argue in the past that Super Saiyan Blue, Super Saiyan Blue is 50 times stronger than base with God Ki, because of the fact that it's the regular Super Saiyan multiplier, but just with God Ki. Now, of course, this has never been actually said, at least not yet. I don't know if it's ever going to be said on what the actual multiplier is in the Daizenshuu or anything of that nature. I don't know. But if that were to be the case, let me turn on this volume. If that were to be the case, guys, I would have to say that Omega has to be stronger at that point, because, okay, so if base Goku was stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, 50 times that is not nearly enough, I don't think, than a 4,000 times boost in Super Saiyan 4, and Omega was even stronger than that, so I don't know. With that logic, Omega has to be way stronger than Hit, but again, that's unclear, because we don't know what the multiplier is. And at this point in the series, okay, if Hit could defeat a Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10 Goku, then it just has to be stronger than Omega, plus growth. And that's what I'm going to move on to next is the abilities and techniques of both fighters. So, first looking at Hit, okay, he has time skip, Toki-Tobashi. This is the main thing that a lot of people argue. Toki-Tobashi. We know that Hit's time leap was too fast. Omega doesn't really have a counter for Toki-Tobashi, at least not to my knowledge. He would have no idea, just like Vegeta versus Hit in episode 38 of DBS. Vegeta had no idea what Toki-Tobashi is. He could not counter it at all, and he was easily wiped out because he didn't know. It's noted that Vegeta was stronger than Hit both in the anime and the manga, but he didn't know of Toki-Tobashi, so that gave Hit a huge a huge advantage. And for Omega, it would be the same thing. He will have no idea what it is, and he might get wiped out. But that's there's a problem here, because with Hit, he has regeneration. Let me pull up an image of that, wherever that is. I've forgotten now. Regeneration. Yeah, it looks like I don't have it anymore. But anyway, he has regeneration, which allows him basically, what it is he can, remember when he took the Dragon Super Saiyan 4 Goku's Dragon Fist? He took that punch and it completely obliterated him with a Kamehameha. But what happened is he regenerated. So could he regenerate against Hit? See, here's the problem. Hit doesn't have any techniques that would allow him to destroy Omega, okay? He just has his Toki-Tobashi moves. He doesn't have like energy beams or attacks. I know in the opening it shows him using like a finger beam. That he never used that in the series, at least not yet. So that's a kind of a problem. So technically, if you would go by that, then Hit would be invincible. Omega would be invincible. But maybe Hit can knock him out, I guess, because his Toki-Tobashi and pressure points. He would probably work pressure points, but that's kind of an unclear thing as to whether Hit can actually destroy him or not. We don't know. Moving on, Hit's other abilities and attributes. Hit is over 1,000 years old. We know this. It's said in the episode. Hit is very old. He has a lot of fighting experience. There's regeneration. Yeah, there's the picture. Again, he can use regeneration because he has all the abilities of the Shadow Dragons. But moving on, Hit is over 1,000 years old. He has an extreme amount of experience, way more than Omega Shenron or any of the Shadow Dragons for that matter. He might be old enough and wise enough to know how to actually beat Hit. And of course, Hit is not too cocky. But the problem with Hit here is he has honor. He will let opponents keep going if they give him. If they benefit him, basically. What I mean by this is, remember when he fought Goku and he improved his Toki-Tobashi to 0.2 instead of 0.1 seconds? He let Goku get up and fight. Now, obviously, this is a tournament. This is not a death match. So that was a tournament and not a death match. Here, Hit versus Omega, he probably would not have to use his honor against Hit. What am I saying? He wouldn't have to use honor against Omega because, well, this is not a tournament. This is a fight to the death here. So the final thing I want to get for Hit in is his assassination techniques, assassination abilities, okay? We have not seen Hit's full abilities. He held back against Goku those abilities because of the rules. Okay, Hit would have been disqualified if he used them. Even Goku said that if Hit went all out, he might have killed him, even with Kaioken times 10 because it was running out. So Hit is really strong in that regard. Omega but So Omega, going on to Omega, his techniques, he has the abilities of all the other Shadow Dragons, regeneration, as I've already, regeneration, as I've already showed you, negative energy. Okay, he uses like the dark energy of humanity, all the deeds of humanity into a one negative energy ball, and he condenses this and throws it at Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Whether Hit can avoid this or dodge this, it's likely because we saw that Hit could actually deflect, or not really deflect, but at least block Super Saiyan Blue's Kaioken's Kamehameha to the point where he could get around him with Toki-Tobashi to get a solid punch in. So he could at least, he'd probably be able to deflect it, I'd say. If he grows to Omega's level, he could probably deflect it. But some other abilities of Omega, he does have ice power, like he has Nova Shenron's fire ability. So if, let's say for instance, Hit were to use Toki-Tobashi and hit him at his vulnerable points, his, what do you call it? His, I forgot what you call it now. But anyway, he hits him in vulnerable spots. But let's say Omega uses Nova's power to heat up his fist. I don't know if that's going to affect Hit or not. It's unclear whether that would do anything to him. If he actually affects Hit. It affected Super Saiyan 4 Goku, but this is not GT, this is Dragon Ball Super. I don't know whether it will affect him. Plus, the hit will be, the attack would be so quick that he probably would not have even time to react or use any of his other abilities. So, there we go. Hit, again, he has his assassination abilities, Toki-Tobashi, and growth. His final thing here is growth, where he can improve while Omega's stamina would just decrease over time. This is another crucial factor. So, it all comes down to if Hit could actually destroy Omega, okay? It all really comes down to that. Even if, let's say Omega, in terms of power scaling, was way above Hit, Hit could, in fact, grow to his level. He could improve to his level. But the problem is here is whether or not he could destroy Omega. So, the conclusion, what I would say for this battle, overall, I'd have to say that this could go either one of two ways. Scenario number one is if they started the battle off, and if Hit started the battle off with Toki-Tobashi instantly, he would probably be able to knock Omega out before Omega could do anything. Like, it would not even be a contest at that point. Hit could use Toki-Tobashi and wipe him out instantly. He would be down, and that would be it. And then he might use his assassination abilities to maybe try to kill him off. But scenario number two is that if he does not use Toki-Tobashi instantly, and somehow he gets caught in one of Omega's abilities, like the Ice Beam, the fire from Nova Shenron, or even like lesser known abilities like Weakening ability from, I think it was Haze Shenron, if I'm correct, because he has all these Shadow Dragon abilities. So he has Dragon Thunderclap and like that weakness ability to weaken opponents, although I don't think that would do anything because Hit could grow to his level. So, and then let's say that Omega caught him with like a Ice Beam. Okay, so Hit is trapped. Let's say Hit was trapped in the Ice Beam, and Omega fired a negative energy beam at him, like an energy ball. Then let me get a picture here. The negative energy ball. Would Hit be able to survive, and would he use Toki-Tobashi? It's kind of implied he would, but if he was trapped in ice, I'd say he probably could. I'd probably say he used Toki-Tobashi to get out of it. But that's unclear if he could get out of the ice or not. Because Super Saiyan 4 Goku couldn't do that. So whether Hit could get out of it or not is unclear. So overall, guys, for this pretty solid, I think I've given a solid analysis. Let me know in the comments below if there's anything I missed over this battle. I know this is going to be a pretty long video, but I wanted to get all their abilities and their power scaling out of the way. So power scaling wise, I would have to say it's just unclear as hell. Okay, it's really unclear. We have no idea what the power scaling for Super Saiyan Blue is. We don't know. Even if it was like 50 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, it still would be weaker than Omega. But it doesn't even matter because Hit could improve to Omega's level. So again, I would have to declare the victor of this battle to Hit. I'd have to say that Hit would win because of the fact that the most likely scenario, what I see happening is, because Hit is 1,000 years old, over 1,000 years old, and he's a legendary assassin, he would probably use his, he would sense Omega's power being so strong, he would grow to his level and use Toki-Tobashi to instantly finish him off. And of course, Omega is too cocky in that sense. He's way too cocky. He would try to toy with his opponents, and Hit is not that kind of guy. He would go all out and use his assassination abilities to win. Hope you guys enjoyed that Dragon Ball battle. Let me know in the comments below on if there's anything else I missed. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good one.